So I'm back this time with a wireless Quest link video where I'm going to try and take it through virtual desktop, through Wi-Fi, rather than going through the regular USB-C cabled Quest link, or going out through the LAN port all the way to the router and then over Wi-Fi back to the headset. I've seen a few attempts online where people have tried to do it over Wi-Fi, but they've either had like high lag, low bandwidth, really bad compression, or some other kind of artifacting. One of the things with compression of a virtual desktop is the CPU, which I'm hoping the 16 core in this is able to handle just fine. There seems to be very specific setups that work, where I've seen a few setups that have had a problem with like Wi-Fi 6 modules with Windows 10 in particular, because like the drivers just aren't there yet. And a lot of the older Windows 10 ad hoc features have been removed and replaced like many times over. So I think our current iteration is they just call it mobile hotspot. Yeah, mobile hotspot. Yeah, we're now on mobile hotspot as the go-to for a Wi-Fi direct connection to a PC. So, usually it would just be like your smartphone that you connect directly to your PC. But the main thing is being able to connect one of these over Wi-Fi. And the problem is that feature's very half-baked in Windows 10. So things like when setting up, you need to make sure that the Wi-Fi module in your computer is set up to be on the 5 GHz band rather than 2.4 GHz. The data rate and lag that you're going to be getting from 2.4 GHz over 5, it's just going to kill your experience and just make it not work. Like at that point, you may as well be using a Quest, Oculus Rift S. So it's just not worth it. Another thing that determines whether or not you're able to do this is the chipset manufacturer for the Wi-Fi card. Some work well with direct link, others don't at all. Some kind of like half work, but you need to do a lot of tinkering with it. So the chipset in this PC is actually, it's a Intel AX200, which is funny because this machine is an all AMD build. It's got a 5950X and a 6900 XT in it. And as I was researching this video to see if the AX200 would work with Quest Link over virtual desktop Wi-Fi, Intel's own website indicates that, well, like I said, Microsoft has changed how their Wi-Fi hotspot works. So they said it would no longer work, and I was prepared to use PowerShell to work my way around it. But then the Intel sheet went on to say that they were working on a fix, but they haven't updated anything since then. So I was quite surprised when Quest Link worked almost out of the box with only a few tweaks like disabling the 2.4 GHz band. So another thing you need to do is you need to sideload a patch for virtual desktop onto your headset that enables the actual virtual reality pass-through. Because at the minute, out of the box, virtual desktop, all it does is it just displays your desktop in a virtual space, which is kind of cool, but the resolution in these is still far too low to make that any usable. And I know Facebook is trying to change how sideloading works so that all of the content will be hosted on their servers, which, if you already own a Quest, you've already made that sacrifice, so I don't really see any way out of it. But again, really the only reason I've got this is for development. Otherwise, if one day if they make Index 2, I'd be getting that. So with that all said, let's go over it and see if we can get this all set up properly. So the setup process itself is quite simple, if a little tedious. You start like usual, going through the Oculus software and setting up the Quest over USB, test the connection and set up a stationary boundary, which we can change later in Steam VR. After this is where we start setting up Windows 10 to connect to the Quest over Wi-Fi directly. Here we go into our network settings and set up our mobile hotspot. Use whatever network name and password you like, but make sure the network band is set to 5 GHz. From here you can go into the network and sharing settings to make sure that we're sharing our network connection from our Ethernet port to our virtual Wi-Fi adapter, not to the regular Wi-Fi. Here I go into the Oculus Quest to connect to the PC Wi-Fi. detects the PC just fine but can't connect. That's because I was sharing from the Ethernet port to the standard Wi-Fi and not the virtual hotspot. So the Quest just sticks on trying to get an IP address, which it can't find. So I mess around for a moment to try and find the wrong settings, not noticing which Wi-Fi I'm connecting the Ethernet to. And there we go. Connected to the Ethernet to the virtual mobile hotspot. So now I go into the Quest a second time and it connects just fine, but there's a new problem. It's only connecting at 286 megabytes a second and not the rated 1.2 gigabytes a second. A number of people were having this issue and the solution is ridiculous. So once again, I'll leave the Quest and start searching my settings again, looking for what's gone wrong, but sadly this seems to be a driver bug with a strange, ridiculous workaround. I go through the adapter settings, forcing everything to Wi-Fi 6, 5GHz band, disabling power and saving modes, thinking one of these is going to fix the low bandwidth issue, but no. The solution was far more black magic than Windows settings has access to alone. Here you can see I connected my phone first, and now when I connect the Quest second, I see it connects with the full 1.2 gigabytes a second. So if you try this yourself, set up your mobile hotspot, make sure it's 5 GHz, go into network adapter settings and share your Ethernet to your virtual Wi-Fi adapter, not the regular Wi-Fi adapter, and try connecting to your Quest. If you're only connecting at 286 megabytes a second or some other low speed, try connecting to your smartphone first. So once that's connected, I start up a virtual desktop and connect via Wi-Fi, which is why this resolution shift. So from here I boot up Steam VR, do all the settings in that, and then I get into Superhot VR. And here I am playing Superhot VR over Wi-Fi connected to my desktop. The gameplay itself was pretty smooth, the footage itself looks a bit jittery, but even when I went into playing ILM's Tatooine demo, it seemed pretty good. I'm going to do some more testing on this, see what the latency is like, but overall I'm really impressed. Alright, and there we go, that's getting Oculus Quest set up with Quest Link over Wi-Fi. So yes, there were still a few funny things to work out. So when I first did a run through of this, I was able to get it running no problem, but this time it wanted me to connect to Wi-Fi first. So one of the things that some people have come across is that if you have it on, if you connect directly to the hotspot the first time with the Quest, it'll say something like only 286 megabits per second, which is odd. And one of the workarounds that people have found for that is just connect your phone to the hotspot first, and then you get the full 1200 megabits. I still have no idea what's going on. Hopefully as Windows hotspot matures, it gets better. I mean, still, sadly, with Mac OS and Linux still lagging behind in the VR department, it's doubtful we're going to get some real competition. But oh well. Next I'm going to do some thermal testing on this. See if I can swap out that... I want to swap out this 200mm fan for a 140mm one just over the heatsink. I want to see how the thermals change, because at the minute this 200mm fan covers the CPU heatsink and also part of the graphics heatsink, and it's pulling air out of the system. So I want to see if I change it out to just pulling heat off of the CPU. I want to see how that changes both the CPU and GPU thermals. So I want to thank you all for watching once again, and I think my next video is going to be a developer log on our game. A multiplayer update should have just come out, focusing on a lot of bug fixes and quality of life improvements for the multiplayer. So I will see you all in the next video. So I just wanted to add this on the end and say I think I'll do some kind of giveaway in the next video or so, where I'll give away the Noctua fan I'm not using. So that'll be either a 200mm or 140mm Chromax. Ideally only in the UK and Europe. Shipping gets a bit expensive any further than that, so if you somehow stumbled on this video and made it this far, here's your heads up. Alright, see ya.